I never really know how to start these things. So today I thought, let's be a little bit different. And we'll start with a riddle. Now, if you know the answer, I want you to shout it out to me. But be warned, I've got very high expectations that all of you should know what it is. And if you don't, I'm going to seriously suggest you go back and relive your childhood, because you've seriously missed out. Here goes. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? SpongeBob. You guys are great. SpongeBob SquarePants. Now, I know what you're all thinking. I've come to this TEDx event, and this chick's opening line is from the SpongeBob SquarePants theme song. But also, maybe this is going to be a little more interesting than what I first thought. So, what does SpongeBob have to do with young people? It's actually the second line of the theme song that gives us a little bit more of a clue. Absorbent and yellow, and porous is he. Why is SpongeBob absorbent, yellow, and porous? He's a sponge. Still doesn't answer your question though, does it? Well, the way that society views SpongeBob and the way that society views young people can often be one and the same. And today, I'm going to tell you why. Now, before I go into the depths of my very extensive research on the correlation between how society views SpongeBob and how society views young people, I'd just like to take this opportunity to reassure you all this is completely legit. Talking peer-reviewed, published in a highly renowned and respected journal known as Ashleigh's Facebook page. And I should probably just take this opportunity as well to thank my very hard-working and committed research partner, Google, for the part they've had here too. So, when scientifically analysing this correlation, my first major discovery was that, unlike SpongeBob, young people are not living in pineapples under the sea. Yep, I was pretty disappointed too. But as for the things that are the same, like SpongeBob, society often believes that young people are one, naive, and two, a sponge. Now, if I was a young person listening to this right now, my thoughts would be something along the lines of, if this chick calls me naive again, I think we're going to have some problems. But that's because the definition of naive is often thought about in such a negative way. Its actual definition is showing a lack of experience, wisdom, or judgment. This is what being a young person is actually all about. It's the time in our lives when we don't have a lot of that pre-existing life experience to pull on. It can sometimes mean we make some pretty sketchy and maybe not so well thought through decisions. But it's not just our lack of life experience that contributes to these decisions. It's also the fact that our brains are still trying to get their shit together and develop properly. But the good news here is that young people's developing brains are also in prime condition to learn. Kind of like they can absorb all this information, just like a sponge, ready to absorb information from left, right, and centre. So it gives me great pleasure today to be able to introduce you to my young person who's kindly volunteered to help out. This is Bob. He's a sponge, like SpongeBob. It's funny, laugh. So, Bob, like every other young person in this country and the world, is weighing up life-impacting decisions all the time. And because of his lack of life experience, he's vulnerable to some of those riskier decisions, right? So how do we keep young people, like Bob, from making decisions that might be dangerous or unsafe? Easy. We send in experts. Someone that is particularly knowledgeable about or skillful in a particular area. Basically, they know stuff. And we use these people in a couple of different ways. The first is we get them to tell our young people exactly what and what not to do. And the second is we get them to make decisions for our young people. Whether that's, around bullying, alcohol, drugs, safe sex, we get them to come in and tell them how exactly they should be making those decisions, how they should be living their lives. But there's a flaw to our logic here. And today I want to show you why. So, we're going to take our bowl. This is like our school assembly or classroom. So the sort of environment that we like to put a young person in to learn. And we'll take Bob shove them in there. Sorry, Bob. And at this point, we like to get our experts in to come and share all their wonderful knowledge. So we'll start with bullying. That's usually the treat other people the way that you want to be treated talk. And it goes. After that, we usually have drugs. It's the health teacher that tells you, if you take drugs, you are going to die. Dangerous driving. It's usually the school assembly that scares you into driving like your grandparents. Next, this is a real goodie. Personal favourite of most university students, alcohol. There's really far too much to cover here, but if I wanted to make it specific to Dunedin, it's please don't burn any couches. And last, but most certainly not least, we have safe sex. This conversation usually goes somewhere along the lines of, if you have unprotected sex, you will end up pregnant and with herpes and chlamydia and gonorrhea and HIV and warts and blisters all over your genitals. But to make sure that this could never possibly happen to our young people, we literally just like to throw condoms at them so they never could possibly have unprotected sex. Do you want a few? Take some. Plenty to go around. So, what are we left with here? An exceptionally overwhelmed young person in condom-infested waters. We expect that by the power of osmosis, young people are just going to absorb all of this information and never make an unsafe decision again. But what we know from looking out in the real world, that's not how it happens. So I think it's fairly safe to say here that young people are not sponges to be filled. Getting the experts in to scare us into making good decisions just isn't working. We're so desensitised to these worst case scenarios that we just go, it's never going to happen to us. So I think with that conclusion, we're pretty safe to say that this whole young people with sponges idea can go. So, what do we know now? We know that young people are not living in pineapples under the sea, and we know they're not sponges. But unfortunately, there is another reason why our young people aren't able to absorb a lot of this information. So often, there's a gap in generation between our experts and our young people. Growing up in New Zealand today is completely different to growing up in New Zealand 30 years ago. It's kind of the super polite way of me saying you guys are kind of old. Sorry. Unfortunately, we live in we live in a fast-changing world, and that's great, but what that means is the older we get, the further away we're getting from understanding what this current day experience is like. Only young people know what it's like to be a young person in 2017. So that actually makes young people themselves the experts. The only experts of young people are the young people themselves. That means that any decision that is made that affects young people needs to be made with them, if not by those young people themselves. That means any information or programs that are delivered to young people needs to come from them. But I'll tell you what the awesome thing is here. If we empower young people to be the experts, they get involved. They take responsibility for their ideas and they own it. And you can get some bloody incredible results. And I want to share with you a story of just how cool this has been. In 2012, an incredible lady, this is her here, Carla Sanders, approached a group of young people in Central Otago. She had this great idea for this new anti-bullying campaign, and it was going to help young people navigate their lives online. So she went in and she pitched her idea, and they turned around and told her it was crap. Why? Because they were tired. They were tired of being drowned in information that wasn't relevant to them. But it was at this point, Carla did something incredible. She swallowed her pride and turned around and asked those young people what needed to happen. They said, we don't need another one of this, but we're here. Why can't you use us? And so it started with 30 young people across Central Otago, 30 young people that believed in a world free of bullying, where every single young person in this country can grow up feeling accepted and respected for who they are. It was the same dream that got them called naive. Time and time again, they got told, bullying's just part of growing up. You're never going to get rid of it. But they refused to believe that. All they needed was one person to believe in them so they could believe in themselves. Carla was that person. Today, those Sticks and Stones young people are changing behaviours from the inside out, and it all comes from them. What started as a blank piece of paper soon became a name, a brand, and a logo. They are in our schools every single day. They're challenging their own actions, challenging the actions of their peers, challenging schools, other organisations, and even as high up as government. They design their programs. They're embracing technology to create innovative ways to support young people all around this country. But not only is it pretty incredible for their peers, it can be pretty life-changing for them as well. Today I've been given permission to share a story with you all, one of the founding members of Sticks and Stones, about the impact it's had on her life. This girl grew up in a very small rural community. It was the sort of place where everyone knew everyone. She had experienced some bullying for the first couple of years of high school, and it got to the point where she received a death threat over Facebook. But she was really lucky. She had a supportive family and a great community behind her to help pull her through that. But it was a day in September 2011 that changed her life. It was the night of her dad's 40th birthday. She got a message over Facebook, and it told her a classmate had taken her own life. She'd never felt more helpless, shocked. To this day, she still struggles to be able to articulate what that felt like. And unfortunately, there was a lot more of that feeling to come. In that 8 months, that community lost 3 young people. Bullying was linked to one of those deaths, and they were left feeling angry, sad, confused, but most of all, there was this overwhelming sense of hopelessness. She didn't know what to do. She wanted to make sure that no one else should ever have to go through what those young people did. But she had no idea where to start, no idea whether her ideas were even worth sharing. In 2013, Carla came to her school. Suddenly there was that sense of hope. Someone wanted to listen and hear her ideas. As Sticks and Stones grew, this young lady got to grow as well. She was able to connect with other like-minded people all throughout this country. She, alongside her peers, gained experience in organising events, working with media, and have even been able to collaborate with some of the most incredible organisations and people this world has to offer. She's been able to attend national events and share her voice on that stage. At age 18, alongside some of her colleagues, she travelled to Dublin to present at an international anti-bullying conference. And she sits on committees within the Ministry of Education, making sure that young people's voice is valued within that space. And today, she's standing in front of you delivering a TEDx talk. My name is Ashleigh Smith. At age 13, I went through the most horrific period of my life. But at age 15, someone believed in me, and they ignited a passion. Today, at age 19, I'm chairperson of Sticks and Stones and so incredibly humbled to be New Zealand's Queen's Young Leader for 2017. I believe that every single young person in this country is passionate about something. All they need is someone to believe in them, and then they can change the world. That someone could be you. The only experts of young people are young people themselves. Because if it's about us, without us, it's not for us. Thank you for listening.